Hello, my name is Ethan. I'm 31 years old. I fix motorcycles for a living, working out of a small garage I rent on the outskirts of town. It's not glamorous work, but there's something honest about getting your hands dirty, about taking something broken and making it run again. Most evenings I come home covered in grease and motor oil, shower off the day, and settle into a routine that's become as predictable as the sunrise. That Tuesday started like any other. I'd spent the morning rebuilding a carburetor on a vintage Harley, the kind of meticulous work that requires patience in steady hands. The owner, an older gentleman named Harold, had been bringing his bikes to me for 3 years now. He trusted me with machines that meant more to him than most people understand. There's a responsibility in that trust, a weight that I carry in everything I do. By lunch, I was wiping my hands on a shop rag when my phone buzzed. A text from Mia. We'd met 6 months ago at a coffee shop downtown. One of those chance encounters that happen when you're both reaching for the same book on a shelf. She was reading Steinbeck, East of Eden, and we ended up talking for 2 hours about stories and characters and the way certain books can change how you see the world. Mia worked as a graphic designer for a small marketing firm. She had this way of seeing patterns in everything, finding beauty in the arrangement of ordinary objects. When she talked about her work, her eyes would light up and she'd gesture with her hands, sketching invisible designs in the air. We'd been friends since that first conversation, meeting for coffee every few weeks, sometimes walking through the park near her apartment, talking about everything and nothing. Her text was simple. "Wanna come over tonight? I'm making dinner." I stared at the message for a moment, feeling something shift in my chest. Mia had never invited me to her place before. Our friendship had existed in public spaces, neutral territory where we could talk and laugh without the weight of expectation. Her apartment felt different, more personal, more intimate. I typed back, "What time? 7 and Ethan don't eat beforehand. I'm actually cooking this time." I smiled at that. Mia was notorious for ordering takeout, claiming she could burn water if left unsupervised in a kitchen. The fact that she was cooking meant something, though I wasn't sure what. The rest of the afternoon passed slowly. I finished the Harley, cleaned my tools, and swept the garage floor twice. Harold picked up his bike, running his hand along the chrome with the reverence of someone touching something sacred. He paid me in cash as always and shook my hand. "She sounds beautiful," he said, listening to the engine idle. "You've got good hands, Ethan. Don't forget that." I drove home thinking about his words. Good hands. In my line of work, that was the highest compliment you could receive. But as I showered and changed clothes, I wondered if having good hands with machines translated to other things, to people, to moments that mattered. Mia's apartment building was a converted warehouse in the arts district. All exposed brick and large windows. I'd driven past it countless times, but never been inside. The elevator was one of those old freight lifts, all metal grating and mechanical sounds. I pressed the button for the 4th floor and felt my stomach tighten with something between anticipation and nervousness. Her door was painted deep blue with a small succulent in a ceramic pot that is sitting on the floor beside it. I knocked, and within seconds the door swung open. Mia stood there in jeans and a cream-colored sweater, her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun. She was barefoot and there was flour on her hands. "You actually came," she said, smiling. "You actually cooked?" I replied, catching the scent of something savory drifting from the kitchen. Her apartment was exactly what I'd expected and nothing like I'd imagined. The main room was open with tall windows facing west. The walls were covered with her artwork, sketches, paintings, and design mock-ups that created a kind of visual symphony. A large couch sat in the center of the room facing an old television that looked like it hadn't been turned on in months. Books were stacked everywhere on shelves, tables, and the floor, creating small towers of stories and ideas. "I made pasta," she said, leading me toward the kitchen. "Well, I attempted pasta. The sauce is from a jar, but I added things to it. That counts as cooking, right?" The kitchen was small but efficient, with herbs growing in pots on the windowsill. She'd set the small table with actual plates and cloth napkins, the kind of attention to detail that made the evening feel intentional, planned, significant. We ate and talked about work, about the book she was reading, and about a documentary she'd watched about motorcycle racing. She asked about the Harley I'd been working on, and I found myself telling her about Harold, about the way he treated his bikes like family members, about the responsibility I felt when someone trusted me with something they loved. "You care about people," she said, twirling pasta around her fork. "I noticed that about you the first day we met. You listen like what people say actually matters to you. Doesn't it matter to everyone?" "You'd be surprised," she said, and there was something sad in her voice, a note that made me want to ask questions I wasn't sure I had the right to ask. After dinner, we moved to the couch. Mia had made coffee, real coffee from beans she'd ground herself, and we sat at opposite ends of the long sofa, facing each other with our legs tucked up. The television remained off, and the only light came from a floor lamp in the corner in the fading daylight through the windows. "I have something to tell you," she said, and my heart did something complicated in my chest. I waited, watching her face in the soft light. She was looking down at her coffee cup, turning it slowly in her hands. "I'm thinking about leaving," she said. "The job? I mean, maybe the city, too." "Where would you go?" "I don't know yet. Somewhere different. Somewhere I can start over." She looked up at me then, and her eyes were bright with something between excitement and fear. "I've been saving money for 2 years. I have enough to take a real risk now to try something completely different." "What kind of something?" "Freelance design work, maybe, or teaching. I've always wanted to teach art to kids." She set her coffee cup on the side table and shifted on the couch, moving closer to me. "The thing is, I keep thinking about what I'd miss if I left. And you're on that list, Ethan. Pretty high on that list, actually." The air in the room seemed to thicken, charged with possibilities I'd been afraid to consider. Mia was looking at me with an expression I'd never seen before, vulnerable and hopeful and terrified all at once. "I'd miss you, too," I said, and the words felt inadequate, too small to carry the weight of what I was feeling. She moved closer again until she was sitting right next to me on the couch, close enough that I could smell her shampoo, something clean and floral. Her knee was touching mine, and I could feel the warmth of her through the fabric of our jeans. "Ethan," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I didn't invite you here just to watch TV." The words hung between us like a bridge. I wasn't sure I was brave enough to cross. Mia was looking at me with those dark eyes, waiting for some sign that I understood what she was really saying. My heart was beating so hard, I was sure she could hear it. "What did you invite me here for?" I asked. Though I thought I knew the answer, I hoped I knew the answer. Instead of responding with words, she reached over and took my hand, lacing her fingers through mine. Her skin was soft and warm, and I could feel the slight tremor in her touch that told me she was as nervous as I was. "I've been thinking about us," she said. "About what we are, what we could be. We've been dancing around something for months, haven't we?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. She was right. Every coffee date, every walk in the park, every text message had been building towards something neither of us had been brave enough to name. "I'm scared," she continued, her thumb tracing small circles on the back of my hand. "Scared of changing things between us. Scared of losing what we have. But I'm more scared of wondering what if for the rest of my life." I shifted on the couch, turning to face her fully. With my free hand, I reached up and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear that had escaped from her bun. The gesture felt natural, like something I'd been wanting to do for months. "I've been scared too," I admitted. "You're important to me, Mia. More important than I've let myself acknowledge." "How important?" she asked, and there was something playful in her voice now, mixed with the vulnerability. "Important enough that the thought of you leaving makes me feel like I'm losing something I didn't even know I had," I said. "Important enough that I've been thinking about you at work, wondering what you're doing, wishing I had an excuse to text you every day." She smiled then, the kind of smile that transforms a person's entire face. "You don't need an excuse, Ethan. You never needed an excuse." We sat there for a moment, hands linked, looking at each other in the lamplight. Outside, the city was settling into evening. But inside her apartment, time seemed suspended, waiting for us to decide what came next. "Can I ask you something?" I said, anything. When you talk about leaving, about starting over somewhere else, is it because you're running from something or running towards something? She considered the question. Her head tilted slightly to one side. Both. Maybe. I feel stuck sometimes. Like I'm living someone else's version of what my life should be. The job pays well, but it doesn't feed my soul. You know, this city is beautiful, but it can be lonely. I want to wake up excited about the day ahead, not just going through the motions. What would feed your soul? I asked. Creating things that matter. Teaching kids to see the world differently. Having conversations like this one, where I can be completely honest about who I am and what I want. She squeezed my hand. Being close to people who see me really see me. I understood what she meant. In my work, I found satisfaction in fixing things, in taking something broken and making it whole again. But there was a deeper satisfaction in moments like this, in connection, in being known by another person. What about you? She asked. Are you happy with your life the way it is? It was a question I'd been avoiding for months, maybe years. I like my work, I said slowly. I'm good at it and it feels honest, but sometimes I wonder if I'm hiding behind it, using it as an excuse not to take bigger risks. What kind of risks? Emotional ones mostly. I've gotten comfortable being alone, being self-sufficient. It's easier than putting yourself out there and risking getting hurt. Is that what this is? She asked, gesturing between us. A risk? The biggest one I've considered in a long time, I admitted. She was quiet for a moment, studying my face. Then she said, what if we took the risk together? The question hung in the air between us, heavy with possibility. Mia's hand was still in mine, her thumb still tracing those small circles that were making it hard to think clearly. The apartment around us felt like a cocoon separate from the rest of the world. A place where we could say things that might be impossible anywhere else. What would that look like? I asked, taking the risk together? I don't know exactly, she said. But I know I want to find out. I know that sitting here with you feels more real than anything I've done in months. I know that when I imagine leaving this place, the only thing that makes me hesitate is the thought of leaving you behind. I felt something shift in my chest like a door opening that I'd kept locked for years. Mia, I said. Wait, she said, moving even closer to me on the couch. Before you say anything, I need you to know something. I've never done this before. I've never been the one to make the first move to say what I'm really feeling. Terrifies me. You're doing fine, I said, and I meant it. Her honesty was like a gift, something precious and fragile that she was trusting me with. I keep thinking about that first day we met. She continued. How easy it was to talk to you. How you listened to me ramble about books and art like what I was saying actually mattered. Most people don't listen like that, Ethan. Most people are just waiting for their turn to talk. I remember that day, too, I said. I remember thinking that you saw things differently than other people. That you found beauty in places I'd never thought to look. I remember walking away from that coffee shop feeling like something had shifted in my world. Something had shifted, she said. For both of us, I think we just weren't ready to admit it yet. She was right. Looking back, I could see how every interaction we'd had since then had been building toward this moment, toward this conversation that was changing everything between us. Can I tell you something else? She asked. I nodded. I've been thinking about kissing you for 2 months, she said, her cheeks flushing pink. Every time we say goodbye, every time you smile at something I've said, every time you get that focused look when you're really listening to me, I've been wondering what it would feel like. My breath caught in my throat. Mia, I said, I know it's forward of me to say that, she rushed on. I know it might change everything between us. And maybe that's selfish, but I couldn't keep pretending I didn't feel it. It's not selfish, I said, reaching up with my free hand to cup her face gently. It's brave, and for what it's worth, I've been wondering the same thing. Her eyes widened slightly, and I could see hope blooming there, bright and tentative. Really? Really? I've been thinking about it so much that I started avoiding looking at your mouth when we talked because it was too distracting. She laughed a soft sound that made my heart race. We're quite a pair, aren't we? Both of us thinking the same thing and too scared to say it. What are we scared of exactly? I asked, though I thought I knew the answer. Ruining what we have. Losing each other. Finding out that the reality doesn't match the fantasy. She paused, searching my eyes. What if we're better as friends? What if crossing this line ruins everything good between us? What if it doesn't? I countered. What if it makes everything better? That's the risk, isn't it? She said. We won't know unless we try. I could feel the moment balanced on a knife's edge. Could sense that whatever happened next would change the trajectory of both our lives. Mia was looking at me with such trust, such openness that I felt the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders. This wasn't just about what I wanted. It was about what we both deserved, what we both needed. Mia, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I want to try. I want to find out what this could be. But I need you to know that if we do this, if we cross this line, I'm Alan. I don't do things halfway, especially not things that matter this much. What does Alan mean to you? She asked. It means I want to know everything about you. It means I want to be the person you call when you're excited about something and the person you call when you're scared. It means I want to figure out how to make this work, even if it's complicated. Even if it means taking risks I've never taken before. Her eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling. That's what I want too, she said. All of it. The distance between us on the couch seemed to shrink until there was barely any space left at all. Mia's face was so close to mine that I could count the flecks of gold in her dark eyes, could see the way her pulse fluttered in the hollow of her throat. The air around us felt charged, electric with possibility and the weight of everything we just admitted to each other. So what happens now? She asked, her voice soft and uncertain. Now we stop overthinking, I said, surprising myself with the certainty in my voice. Now we trust what we feel. I leaned forward slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted to, but instead she met me halfway. When our lips touched, it was soft and tentative at first, a question being asked and answered. Then something ignited between us, and the kiss deepened, became more urgent, more real. She tasted like coffee and possibility, like every conversation we'd ever had and everyone we were going to have. Her hand found the back of my neck, her fingers tangling in my hair, and I felt like I was falling and flying at the same time. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard, foreheads pressed together, eyes closed. Wow, she whispered. Yeah, I agreed, not trusting myself to say anything more articulate. We stayed like that for a moment, just breathing each other in, letting the reality of what had just happened settle around us. When I opened my eyes, Mia was looking at me with an expression of wonder in something that might have been relief. That was, she started, then trailed off. Worth the risk, I suggested. So worth the risk, she said, laughing softly. Ethan, that was better than I imagined. And I have a pretty good imagination. I kissed her again, slower this time, savoring the feeling of her mouth against mine. The way she sighed softly when I traced her lower lip with my tongue. When we broke apart, she settled against my side, her head on my shoulder, and I wrapped my arms around her, marveling at how perfectly she fit against me. This is nice, she murmured, her breath warm against my neck. It is, I agreed, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. Though I have to admit, I'm a little nervous about what comes next. What do you mean? I mean, we've just changed everything between us. Tomorrow morning, when we wake up, we're going to be different people than we were this morning. We're going to have to figure out how to be whatever this is. She lifted her head to look at me. Are you having second thoughts? No, I said quickly. Not at all. I just wanted to do this right. Mia, you matter too much to me to mess this up. What does doing it right look like to you? I thought about it for a moment, running my hand through her hair. It looks like taking our time, getting to know each other in this new way. It looks like being honest about what we want and what we're afraid of. It looks like not pretending this is just casual when it clearly isn't. It's not casual for me either. She said, Ethan, I need you to know something. I've been in relationships before, obviously, but I've never felt like this. I've never wanted to tell someone everything about myself. Never wanted to know everything about another person the way I want to know you. Tell me something I don't know about you, I said. She smiled. What kind of something? Anything. Something important. Something silly. Something that helps me understand who you are when no one else is looking. She was quiet for a moment thinking. Then she said, I talk to my plants, not just the herbs in the kitchen, but all of them. I have names for them and I tell them about my day when I water them. I know it's ridiculous, but it makes me feel less alone. It's not ridiculous. And I said, it's sweet. What do you tell them? Everything about work, about books I'm reading, about you. She blushed. I've told them a lot about you, actually. About how you make me laugh. About how you see the world. About how I've been falling for you without even realizing it was happening. You've been falling for me? I asked, my heart doing something complicated in my chest. For months, she admitted slowly at first, then all at once. Like that quote from Hemingway about going bankrupt. Gradually, then suddenly, I quoted. Exactly, she said. That's exactly what it felt like. The word love hung between us, and I felt my breath catch. Neither of us had said it directly, but it was there, hovering just beneath the surface of everything we'd shared tonight. Mia, I said, my voice rough with emotion. I know it's too soon to say it, she said quickly. I know we just figured out what this is between us, and I don't want to scare you off by moving too fast. You're not scaring me off, I said, tilting her chin up so I could look into her eyes. You're not moving too fast. You're being honest, and that's exactly what I want from you. What I want from us. So, you're not freaked out that I basically just told you I'm in love with you? No, I said and realized I meant it completely. I'm not freaked out. I'm grateful because I've been feeling the same way and didn't know how to say it. Her eyes widened and I could see hope and disbelief wearing in her expression. You have? I confirmed. I love the way you see beauty in everything. The way you get excited about ideas. The way you listen like you're trying to understand not just what I'm saying, but who I am underneath the words. I love your laugh and the way you scrunch your nose when you're concentrating and how you always smell like that floral shampoo. I love that you talk to your plants and that you trust me enough to tell me about it. She was crying now but smiling through the tears. Ethan, I love you. I love you too, Mia. I said the words feeling both terrifying and inevitable. I think I've been in love with you since that first day in the coffee shop, but I was too scared to admit it, even to myself. I love you too, she whispered. And then she was kissing me again, and I could taste the salt of her tears mixed with the sweetness of her mouth. When we broke apart, we were both laughing and crying at the same time, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what we just shared. This is crazy, she said, wiping her eyes. 6 hours ago we were friends. Now we're in love. Finished. And yes, it's crazy, but it's also right, isn't it? Feels right. Feels perfect, she agreed. It feels like something I've been waiting for my whole life without knowing I was waiting. We settled back against the couch, her head on my chest, my arms wrapped around her. Outside, the city had fully transitioned into night, and the apartment was lit only by the single lamp and the glow from the kitchen. It felt like we were the only two people in the world. So what happens now? She asked. With us, and with your plans to leave. It was a good question, one that I'd been wondering about since she'd first mentioned the possibility of moving away. What do you want to happen? I want to be with you, she said without hesitation. However that works, wherever that is. If that means staying here, I'll stay. If it means you coming with me somewhere new, I'd love that too. I just know that now that I have this, I don't want to give it up. I feel the same way, I said. But Mia, I don't want you to give up your dreams for me. If you want to leave, if you want to try something new, we'll figure out how to make it work. What if we made it our dream? She asked, lifting her head to look at me. What if we planned it together, figured out a place where we could both be happy, both do work that matters to us? The idea sent a thrill through me. Terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. You'd want that? To plan a future together? I'd want that more than anything, she said. Ethan, I know this is all happening fast, but it doesn't feel rushed to me. It feels like we're finally catching up to where we were supposed to be all along. I knew exactly what she meant. Despite the fact that we'd only acknowledged our feelings hours ago, being with her like this felt natural, inevitable, like coming home. Where would we go? I asked, getting caught up in the possibility. Somewhere we could both work. Somewhere beautiful. Maybe a smaller city. Somewhere with character and community. I could freelance. Maybe teach art classes. You could open your own shop. Build a reputation in a new place. That sounds incredible, I said. For the first time in years, I was excited about the future, about the possibility of building something meaningful with another person. We don't have to decide tonight, she said. We have time to figure it out, to plan it, right? We do. I agreed. But Mia, I want you to know that whatever we decide, wherever we end up, I'm committed to this, to us. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and then find out this was just a moment for me. Promise? She asked, and there was vulnerability in her voice that made my chest ache. Promise? I said, kissing her forehead. You're stuck with me now. She laughed. Good. I like being stuck with you. We talked for hours after that, sharing stories and dreams and fears, learning each other in this new context. She told me about her childhood, about growing up in a house full of books and art supplies, about parents who encouraged her creativity but worried about her ability to make a living from it. I told her about learning to work with my hands from my father, about the satisfaction of fixing things, about the loneliness I'd carried for years without even realizing it was there. As the night deepened around us, our conversation began to slow, punctuated by comfortable silences and gentle touches. Mia had curled up against my side, her legs tucked under her, one hand resting on my chest. I could feel her breathing gradually evening out, and I realized she was falling asleep. Mia, I whispered. Emichem, she murmured, not opening her eyes. Should I go home? Let you get some real sleep. She opened her eyes, then looking up at me with an expression that was soft and vulnerable. Do you want to go home? No, I admitted. I want to stay right here with you. Then stay, she said simply. We don't have to do anything except sleep. I just want to wake up tomorrow knowing this wasn't a dream. It wasn't a dream, I assured her. This is real, Mia. We're real. She smiled sleepily and closed her eyes again. I love the sound of that. We're real. I watched her drift off to sleep, marveling at the trust she was showing me, the intimacy of sharing this quiet moment. Her face was peaceful in the lamplight, and I felt a fierce protectiveness rise in my chest, a desire to be worthy of what she was offering me. I must have dozed off too, because the next thing I knew, pale morning light was filtering through the windows, and Mia was stirring in my arms. She blinked up at me, and for a moment I saw confusion in her eyes before memory returned and her face broke into a radiant smile. Good morning, she said, her voice husky with sleep. Good morning, I replied, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. How did you sleep? Better than I have in months, she said. You same, I said, and it was true. Despite sleeping on a couch, despite the newness of everything between us, I felt more rested than I had in years. She stretched, then settled back against me. Ethan. Yeah. I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen without saying anything until I'm finished. Okay. My stomach tightened with sudden anxiety. Okay. Last night was perfect. She began, her voice serious. Everything we said, everything we shared. It was exactly what I needed and wanted. But now it's morning and the real world is going to intrude. And I'm scared that the magic of last night won't survive in daylight. I'm scared that you're going to go home and think about this logically and decide it was a mistake. I'm scared that I'm going to go to work and my coworkers are going to ask why I'm glowing. And I won't know how to explain that I fell in love with my best friend and it was the most natural thing in the world. I'm scared that we moved too fast, said too much, promised things we can't deliver. She paused, taking a shaky breath. But I'm more scared of pretending last night didn't happen. I'm more scared of going back to being just friends and wondering what if for the rest of my life. So, I need to know, Ethan. I need to know that when you leave here this morning, you're not going to disappear on me. I need to know that we're going to figure out how to make this work in the real world, not just in this apartment where it's just the two of us. I waited to make sure she was finished, then gently moved her hand away from my mouth. Can I talk now? I asked. She nodded, her eyes wide and worried. Mia, look at me, I said, cupping her face in my hands. I'm not going anywhere. Last night wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness or something I'm going to regret in the harsh light of day. It was the beginning of something I've been wanting for months without having the courage to reach for it. Relief flooded her features, but I wasn't finished. You're right that the real world is going to intrude. We're going to have to figure out how to navigate this relationship while we both have jobs and responsibilities and lives that existed before last night. It's not going to be as simple as it felt in this room with just the two of us and all the time in the world to talk. Her face fell slightly, and I realized my words weren't as reassuring as I'd intended them to be. But Mia, I continued, that doesn't scare me. What scares me is the thought of not trying, of letting fear keep us from exploring what this could become. I've spent too many years playing it safe, keeping people at arm's length because it was easier than risking getting hurt. I don't want to do that with you. What do you want to do with me? She asked. I want to take you on a proper date, I said. I want to hold your hand in public and introduce you as my girlfriend and not care who sees us. I want to wake up next to you on Sunday mornings and make you breakfast and read the paper together. I want to meet your friends and have you meet mine. I want to plan that future we talked about last night slowly and carefully and together. She was crying again but smiling through the tears. That sounds perfect. It won't always be perfect. I warned her. We're going to have fights and misunderstandings in days when we annoy each other. We're going to have to learn how to be a couple, how to balance our independence with our commitment to each other. I know, she said. I want all of it, Ethan. The perfect parts and the imperfect parts and everything in between. I kissed her then, slow and deep, tasting the promise of our future on her lips. When we broke apart, she was looking at me with such love and trust that I felt humbled by it. So, what's our first step? She asked. How do we start being us in the real world? How about I take you to breakfast? I suggested. Somewhere public. Somewhere we can sit across from each other at a table and talk like the couple we are now. I'd love that, she said. But first, I need to shower and change clothes and try to look like I didn't spend the night having life-changing revelations. You look beautiful, I said, and meant it. Her hair was messy, and she had pillow creases on her cheek, but she was glowing with happiness, and it made her radiant. You're biased, she said. But she was smiling. Completely biased, I agreed, and I planned to stay that way. She got up from the couch, stretching, and I watched her move around the apartment, gathering clothes and toiletries. There was something domestic and intimate about the moment that made my heart race. This was what I wanted, I realized. Not just the grand gestures and romantic declarations, but the quiet, everyday moments. The simple pleasure of sharing space with someone I loved. Ethan, she called from the bathroom doorway. Yeah. Thank you for what? For being brave enough to stay last night. For listening to me ramble about my fears this morning. For being exactly who you are. For loving me back. Thank you for inviting me over, I said. For being honest about what you wanted. For taking the first risk so I could take the second one. She disappeared into the bathroom and I heard the shower start. I sat on the couch surrounded by the evidence of our night together. Coffee cups on the side table. The throw blanket we shared. The lingering scent of her shampoo on my shirt. And felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over me. 6 months ago, I'd been a man who went to work, came home, ate dinner alone, and fell asleep watching television. I'd been content, or at least I told myself I was. Now, sitting in Mia's apartment, listening to her sing softly in the shower, I realized that contentment and happiness were entirely different things. My phone buzzed with a text message. Harold asking if I could look at another bike this week. I typed back a quick response, then found myself smiling. Yesterday, work had been the most important thing in my life. Today, it was just one part of a much larger picture. One that included Mia and the future we were going to build together. She emerged from the bathroom dressed in jeans and a soft green sweater that brought out the gold flecks in her eyes. Her hair was still damp and she smelled like soap. Impossibility. Ready? She asked. Ready, I said, standing up and taking her hand. We walked to a diner 6 blocks from her apartment, the same one where we had had our first coffee date 6 months ago. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Full circle, Mia said as we slid into a booth by the window. New beginning, I corrected, and she squeezed my hand across the table. We ordered breakfast and coffee, and I watched Mia interact with the waitress, noting things I'd never paid attention to before. The way she smiled genuinely at strangers. The way she said please and thank you like they actually meant something. The way she took time to compliment the waitress on her earrings. These were the small kindnesses that made up who she was. And I felt lucky to be the recipient of her larger kindnesses. Her love and trust and faith in our future. So, she said when the waitress had left, "Tell me about your day. What happens after breakfast?" "I have 2 bikes to work on," I said. "Nothing too complicated, just routine maintenance." "What about you?" 3 client meetings and a design presentation," she said. "Plus, I need to call my landlord about renewing my lease." "Are you going to renew it?" I asked. "I don't know yet," she said. "It depends on what we decide about the future, doesn't it? If we're serious about leaving the city together, there's no point in signing another year-long lease." The casual way she said we made my heart skip. We were making decisions together now, planning a shared future. It was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. "How long do you think we need to figure it out?" I asked. "My lease is up in 3 months," she said. "That seems like enough time to decide if we're really going to do this, to research places we might want to go to save more money." 3 months, I repeated, testing the timeline. "That's not very long." "It's long enough," she said confidently. "Ethan, I've been thinking about leaving for 2 years. The only thing that's changed is now I want to leave with you instead of alone. That makes the decision easier, not harder." Our food arrived and we ate in comfortable silence for a while, occasionally sharing bites and smiling at each other across the table. I kept waiting for the awkwardness to set in, for the reality of our new relationship to feel strange or forced, but it never happened. Being with Mia felt as natural as breathing. "Can I ask you something?" she said as we were finishing our breakfast. "Anything. What are you going to tell people about us? I mean, your friends, your family." I thought about it. The truth, I guess, that I fell in love with my best friend and she fell in love with me back. That we're figuring out how to build a life together. Just like that. Just like that, I said. "What about you? What are you going to tell people?" "The same thing, probably. Though I might leave out the part about how I basically seduced you on my couch." I laughed. "You didn't seduce me. You were honest about what you wanted and I was honest back. That's not seduction. That's communication." "Good communication," she agreed, smiling. We paid the check and walked back toward her apartment, holding hands, taking our time. The morning was crisp and bright, and the city felt different somehow, more vibrant and full of possibility. "Ethan," Mia said as we reached her building. "Yeah. I know we said we'd take our time, figure things out slowly, but I need to tell you something." My stomach tightened with anxiety. "What?" "I've never been happier," she said simply. "In my entire life, I've never felt as happy as I do right now. Walking down the street with you, planning a future I never dared to imagine. I just wanted you to know that." Relief and joy flooded through me. "I've never been happier either," I said. "And Mia, if you're enjoying this story, if it's resonating with you the way it's resonating with me, hype this up. Sometimes we all need to know that love like this is possible. That 2 people can find each other and choose to be brave together." She stopped walking and turned to face me, her eyes bright with tears and laughter. "Are we really doing this? Are we really going to plan a whole life together?" "We really are," I said, pulling her close. "And it's going to be amazing." As I held her there on the sidewalk, surrounded by the sounds and smells of the city that had brought us together, I thought about the journey that had led us to this moment. All the small decisions, all the chance encounters, all the conversations that had slowly built the foundation for something extraordinary. We'd started as strangers reaching for the same book, and now we were partners reaching for the same future. The future was uncertain, full of questions we hadn't answered yet, and challenges we hadn't anticipated. But it was our future, one we would build together with the same care and attention I brought to rebuilding engines, the same creativity and vision Mia brought to her designs. We had good hands, both of us, and we were finally ready to use them to build something that mattered. Standing there with Mia in my arms, I realized that sometimes the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards. Sometimes the thing you're most afraid to reach for is exactly what you need to make your life complete. And sometimes when someone sits next to you on the couch and whispers that they didn't invite you over just to watch TV, the bravest thing you can do is listen to what they're really saying and have the courage to say it back. Life lesson and call to action. 200, 300 words. The story of Ethan and Mia offers a deeply moving life lesson. True connection requires the courage to embrace vulnerability and take risks even when fear threatens to hold us back. Their journey from a chance encounter over a book to a heartfelt confession of love shows us that the most meaningful moments in life often begin with small brave acts like Mia inviting Ethan to her apartment, not just for dinner, but to share her truth. Her whispered words, "I didn't invite you here just to watch TV," were a leap of faith, a bridge to a future neither could have predicted. This teaches us that love and growth demand honesty about our desires, our fears, and our dreams. Ethan's willingness to meet her halfway, to admit his own feelings despite years of emotional self-sufficiency, reminds us that real connection is built on mutual trust and openness. Their story resonates because it reflects our own hesitations, our own longing to be seen and loved for who we are, and the exhilarating freedom of finally taking that leap. Life is full of moments that ask us to step out of our comfort zones, to risk rejection for the chance at something extraordinary. Ethan and Mia show us that the fear of what if can be outweighed by the joy of what could be. So, what's your story? Have you ever taken a chance on love, friendship, or a dream that scared you? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else to be brave. If this tale of courage and connection touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories that remind us to embrace life's possibilities. Let's build a community of dreamers who believe in the power of love and risk. Join us today. In the enchanting story of Ethan and Mia, we witness a profound life lesson. True love often blooms from the seeds of vulnerability and the courage to voice unspoken truths, transforming ordinary moments into extraordinary destinies. What began as a simple dinner invitation evolved into a night of raw honesty, where Mia's whispered confession, "I didn't invite you here just to watch TV," wandered the walls of their friendship, revealing hearts yearning for deeper connection. Ethan, a man accustomed to fixing machines but hesitant with emotions, matched her bravery, admitting his fears and affections. Their journey reminds us that life's most fulfilling paths require risking the comfort of the known for the thrill of the possible. How often do we dance around our feelings, silenced by the dread of rejection or change? Yet, as Mia contemplated leaving the city, it was Ethan's presence that anchored her dreams, showing that love isn't about holding back, but about building futures together. Flawed, uncertain, but profoundly real, this tale tugs at the soul, evoking memories of our own unspoken longings, the what-ifs that haunt quiet nights and the joy of finally leaping into someone's arms. It teaches us to embrace vulnerability not as weakness, but as the gateway to authentic bonds where shared fears become shared strengths, and loneliness fades into companionship. In a world that often prioritizes safety over passion, stories like this ignite hope, urging us to whisper our truth before it's too late. What's your moment of vulnerability that changed everything? Have you ever taken a risk in love that led to unexpected beauty? Share your heartfelt stories in the comments below. Your experience might inspire someone else to be brave. If this emotional journey resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe for more uplifting tales of love and life lessons, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that could touch your heart. Together, let's celebrate the magic of human connection. Your support keeps these narratives